Right.
But another point you
Yep.
brought up there was around the contractual side of it. So just
Yep.
want to segue into another area, which, as I mentioned earlier, I'm interested to get your view on. And this
Right.
is, what's the balance between where the legals sit within
Yeah.
the statement of work versus the master services agreement?
Correct. And so, and we're going to do ideal world versus real world. Ideal world, I want all legal terms in the master agreement if I can help it. Because what ends up happening is that you execute a master agreement, you execute an SOW, you execute another SOW, and by the way, they added something to the next SOW just doesn't quite agree with the master agreement, and now you have to go, well, number one, if you didn't establish precedents of agreements, then you have to work, okay, which one governs, and it just ends up being a lot of arguments and in people guessing things. So I mean, in the ideal world, I would love it to be all legal terms are in the master agreement. Because the statement of work, I think the only pieces and parts of that that I could even, and even some of the compliance and governance stuff, I don't feel is legal terms. It's more of, this is how we're running this initiative, however we're going to run it. And it's each project is different, and each time we need to agree on those compliance and governance things, like around change requests and stuff like that. But for the legal terms, what's going to be the base terms for every agreement need to be in the master agreement. So let's say it's services, and you'll say, okay, even change requests, you could have that in there. If you say, this is our change request process, this is how we're going to run it for every single project. So therefore, it should be in the master agreement. Um, Anything that is bespoke for each individual statement of work, then there's some argument that you can have it in the statement of work. I just don't typically, I don't prefer to have any terms, and a lot of times I'll get statements of work from vendors and they'll insert some stuff, and it essentially contradicts what their master agreement already states, and I just cross it out. I say it's already covered in the master agreement, I'm not renegotiating this. It makes life a lot simpler. And then, in the case that we would actually have to um, enforce a term, whatever that term is, I don't have to go, okay, well, let me look at every single agreement we've ever done with you guys and figure
Right,
out which
right.
one works.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't have to do that. So that's typically what I do. And on a lot of times I do, I just, so they'll put in intellectual property stuff. And I'm like, doesn't belong in the SOW. It's in the master agreement. I'm not discussing it again. We already went through that. We went through the lawyers and all that. My statements of work, I like it to be lawyer free.